Greetings, Patrick here. Dollar Theater, the Voters Edition. And this week we went musicals. We went Rodgers and Hammerstein. And we gave you guys a choice to vote on Carousel, Oklahoma, and State Fair. Now, I mentioned before how I always feel like I can pretty much. I'm always guessing wrong on what you guys vote for. I personally thought that Oklahoma was going to win this week. I thought people were going to go Oklahoma because that's probably like the most famous Rodgers and Hammerstein's songs. It's probably the most popular song, the one people know the most. But no, you guys surprised me, and we went with Carousel. And this is a first time watch for me. Now I've seen Oklahoma and I have seen State Fair, but I hadn't actually never seen Carousel. So I was a little anxious to see what was gonna bring me. The first thing I noticed right off the bat was that at first I thought, well, that's sort of strange, because they did Oklahoma the year before. This came out in 1956. They did Oklahoma in 1955 with Shirley Jones and Gordon MacRae as the leading couple, and then bring them back the next year. I thought that was a little odd, and it was, because Gordon MacRae was not the first choice to play Billy Bigelow. That actually belonged to Frank Sinatra. He was actually scheduled to play, but he didn't feel comfortable with it, and he dropped out, and they needed to get somebody back in there to fill the hole. They decided, hey, since Gordon MacRae had done Oklahoma with Shirley Jones, they know each other, so that's what they went with. Um, Now this play right here, this movie came from two different plays. This was not an original. This was not an original film per se. Rodgers Hammerstein had basically done a musical play on Carousel back in 1945. Before that, it was actually belonged to a gentleman named Frederick Molyneux, who had a 1909 non-musical play called Lilum. Um, and so they based it off that, and then they made a movie based on the Hammerstein Rodgers and Hammerstein play back in 1945. So the plot is Billy Bigelow, played by Gordon MacRae. He's sort of a ne'er do well. He works as a barker at a carousel, trying to get people to come on in and ride the horses for a nickel a ride. And he works for a young lady, well, probably a middle-aged lady, Mrs. Mullen, who fancies him, and he's, and you could tell they've sort of had their relationship. And Mrs. Mullen is pretty much, she's very possessive, and so so she's really possessive actually. Well, anyway, Billy spots Julie Jordan, played by Shirley Jones, in the crowd and makes eye contact with her, and then goes down there and he's going to try to get her a free ride. Well, Mrs. Mullins doesn't like that and pulls her off the ride and starts berating her and her friend Carrie. And surprisingly, Mrs. Mullins shown her jealousy, and she actually uses the word, which surprised me. It came from 1956, but she ends up calling the two young girls, who are about 18 or 19, she calls them sluts. That surprised me. I gotta tell you, I was like, wow, I didn't expect to hear that back then. Maybe a tramp, I've heard that back there in the 40s and 50s, but I never heard another actress call one at that time, in that era of movies, a slut. It was a little strange. So anyway, so cause she's jealous of her Barker. Well, anyway, Billy comes over there, and he makes it known that he really likes Julie, and he's not going to go back to the carousel. He doesn't really need it. And Mrs. Mullen says, okay, fine, you can go ahead, and I'm going to let you go. Well, anyway, so Billy and Julie, they walk that night, get to know each other, and lo and behold, they end up getting married basically overnight too. But unfortunately, Julie has lost her job because she stayed past curfew. She worked for a mining company, and Billy, of course, just lost his job with Mrs. Mullins. So they're both living at Julie's cousin's place, cousin Nettie, who's a really nice lady, and she's looking out for him, but she doesn't like the idea that Billy hit her. And that's another thing that surprised me about this movie is they addressed the wife beating, and which is really important because beginning of the film it shows Billy up and looks like some sort of wait station, because we see him, and when we do meet Billy for the first time, he's sitting up there in a waiting room, supposed to be on the way to going to heaven, because he died. When the movie opens up, we find out that he died. And so what we're getting now is how he got from alive to dead, and what happens is he basically runs into his buddy Jigger, played by Cameron Mitchell. Yes, that Cameron Mitchell, the guy from Toolbox Murders, countless TV appearances, and he knows that Billy not only Billy needs the money, but Julie's now pregnant, so he really needs the money. So he says, "Why don't we go over there during this clam bake, and we can rob this guy Branscombe, because he's known to carry a large amount of cash on Friday nights. He's taking it from point A to point B." And Billy doesn't really want to do it at first until he finds out that Julie's pregnant, and then he knows that he's desperate for money. So they head on over there and to attempt to rob Mr. Bascom, which is interesting. Mr. Bascom was none other played by John Denier. Wow, how is that interesting? How interesting is that? Because John Denier was a very well-known radio actor as well as a TV actor. He was in every series that was at that time. TV show. If you turned on a TV show, your chances are you've seen John Denier there. But for us, what makes John Denier so special is that he played Paladin on the radio version of Have Gun Will Travel. And we got to fit the Cheetah in here somewhere, right? So they attempt to rob Mr. Bascom, and it fails. Jigger gets away, and Billy tries to get away, but he falls and he impales himself on a knife that he didn't want to bring. He didn't want violence, but Jigger had told him to bring a knife, and unfortunately he did, and he fell on it. Of course, he dies in Julie's arms, and that's how he ends up where he's at. And despite his less than angelic life, I was actually surprised he's up there. Wife beater and a thief, and what have you. So sort of surprised he's up there. But they tell him in heaven, the waiting period is high, and they say that, you can go back for one day. You can go back there for one day, and if he got that right, and he says he didn't know that. Billy says he didn't know that. He says, well, it seems like he didn't want your one day. He said that we had offered it to you, and he said no. And so now he says, well, now that his daughter's in trouble, now he wants to go down there to help her if he can. And so they give him the one-day pass, and then he heads to see if he can help her, which is up for debate. All right. Of course, this song is very well known for some of the songs. It was, that was known for. June is Busting Out All Over is definitely the most famous song. There's another song that was very famous called You'll Never Walk Alone, which is used for the Jerry Lewis telethon. You'll Never Walk Alone, that was the Hammerstein and Rodgers the Hammerstein song. But June is Busting Out All Over is the centerpiece of this film. It's a good song, and the dance sequences there is like about 15 minutes. It's amazing. But the problem with Carousel is there's a few bumps here. One, Gordon MacRae was just not the person to play Billy Bigelow. man, there's nothing to like about this guy at all. I mean, you don't feel sorry for him for a split second. And he's supposed to be the sympathetic character here. But he just was all wrong for the part. Um, he just, whenever he came on to the came on, you're booing him. Um, the other thing too was this was filmed. This is a theatrical play, and they filmed it like a theatrical play, and it shows. The pacing is slower than molasses. Wow, this is a hard movie to slog through, and it's over 2 hours long. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes long, 10 minutes long. It felt like 4 hours, and that's a real shame because it shouldn't be, because it's the songs just weren't. I mean, I know considering the time period, but the songs themselves were all almost like all ballads, except for June's Busting Out All Over. That's the one that really sparkles. I like the rest of the cast, other than Gordon MacRae. I liked him. It was interesting seeing Cameron Mitchell there, and the way he smokes his cigarette. I mean, gee willikers, it was almost like he's having a fist fight with it. That was interesting. But yeah, he plays a great cad. I thought that was really good. I thought he did really well. Who knew that he did a musical, right? I mean, I was really surprised by that. There was a few other names that were known. Tor Johnson had an uncredited performance as a strongman at the where the carousel's out, the boardwalk, so to speak. Of course, we know Tor Johnson from Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yeah, this movie was directed by Harry King, and Henry King, and that's probably the only thing I will say is about his directing. It was, he connected all the dots, and the songs are okay, but this is more of a theater experience. If you want to see Carousel, you want to see it in a theater setting, not in the movie setting. It's just the pacing and the pacing of the songs just slow it all down. I mean, you have to have and the thing is, though, like I said, it's only 2 hours and 10 minutes long, but it played like it was 4 hours long, and probably no fault of Henry King. I mean, no fault of him. He's directing the play that was on the stage in 1945. They did do some difference. There are some different parts here. They have Cameron Mitchell doing a little bit more singing. There's just different songs that were put in different order. And so it played a little different from the play from 1945. Shirley Jones was really nice too. She was only 22 years old when she did this movie, and she did this the year after Oklahoma. So she was 21 years old when she did Oklahoma. The reception of the movie was sort of mixed. It was not a big hit at all. In fact, it all depends with the source you look at. It either lost a lot of money because this is a dramatic play. Some say it was Rodgers and Hammerstein's most serious work. A lot of people didn't like it. Didn't like the idea of Gordon MacRae's character Billy Bigelow being a wife beater, and that actually turned off a lot of people from seeing the film. So it was made for about $3 million, maybe, and I think it made it back just barely, but it just wasn't well received as much as you would think. The critics were they mentioned that it was, it mentioned it fine, comes across as fine, but some of the storylines were a little bit upsetting for the times. Some people did like it. Some critics mentioned, they mentioned that It looked very handsome on on front on the theater. It looked and yes, the dance scene from June is busting out all over. I would match up that dancing sequence to anything else I've ever seen. That was magnificent. It was fun. It's fresh, and I tell you what, there's some serious moves in that scene, and that, like I said, that scene actually played for like 15 maybe 15 18 minutes long, and it worked out beautiful. It's really really cool. So what I remember, that's what I'll remember most about Carousel was that dance scene. Um, all right. Two songs were removed from the two songs were removed from the film. Your Queer One, Julie Jordan, and Blow High, Blow Low. They were removed from the film because it would have added on another 20-25 minutes to the film, and that would have been too long. All right. Well, so my final thoughts on Carousel: mixed bag, mixed emotions. I mean, some parts of it I liked, some parts I did not. Um, for I think this movie could have been saved though if they had a different Billy Bigelow. If they would have had just a better actor do Billy Bigelow. Not to say that Gordon MacRae was a bad actor, but he just wasn't fit for this part here. This part just didn't work for him. Now I have to go back and rewatch him in Oklahoma because it's been a long time since I've seen that. But I'm sure I'll remember him a lot more fondly in Oklahoma than I will in Carousel. Speaking of these two, they will be back up soon. We're gonna go work our way through this. So I got something else for next week, for theme week. We did musicals this week. Next week we're gonna be doing a little bit of Ice Cube. That's right. We're gonna go ahead and this is a multi-pack. And this features State of the Union, Triple X State of the Union, Anaconda, and my favorite John Carpenter film, Ghost of Mars. No, it's not my favorite. You can almost put Ghost of Mars in the same zip code with Superman 4 if you really get down to it. All right, well that's it for this review for Dollar Tree Voters Edition. We'll be back for, like I said, next week. You guys can vote for one of these three right here. And then after that, probably going to go back to some musicals. I really enjoyed doing this one. I had a lot of fun. And of course, goes out to Adam Marcus, who's also a big musical guy. This is my review. I'm sending it to you. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. Might not agree with it, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please hit the sub button. Hit the notification bell, let you know whenever I do one of these, and drop a comment. Tell me what your favorite musical was. Anything goes. Phantom of the Opera, Chicago, Godspell, Jesus Christ Superstar, Little Shop of Horrors, Rocky Horror Picture Show. You tell me your favorite musical. All right, we're out of here. Peace.